very exciting. It was a very exciting time. I used to fly home on the Fox jet to do a gig. On the weekends, they would loan me the private jet. I later on, by the way, did much the same job producing the Ralph Ben-Merghi show for CBC. The difference being, when I walked in to CBC in my suit, everybody sneered at me because they thought I was putting on airs. Whereas at Fox in Los Angeles, I had two assistants, one to get me tea and another one to get me coffee. There is more money there than you can possibly imagine. One day the Fox executives looked at me and I looked a little stressed out. And they said, "Is something wrong?" I said, "It's not the show. I've got some problems up in Canada with my clubs." So they started to panic. They thought, "I'll quit. I'll go back." I said, "Well, what do you need to help? What kind of help? How can we help?" I said, "In the best of all possible worlds, I get my assistant from Canada to move down here. We'll put him in that side office, so when I have a break, I can run in and say, okay, let's do this for YukYuks, let's do that for the YukYuks." They said, "Done." I said, "But I'll need to pay him a salary." "Done." "I'll need to buy him some clothes." "Done." Money is no object if you're working on something that's a hit, or that's perceived as a hit, or something you want to be a hit. One assistant for coffee, one assistant for tea.
And Rupert Murdoch flying you in his private jet.
Yeah.
Who provided the sugar? Was there another assistant for sugar?
Oh, I forgot about the sugar queen.
Sugar queen.
I'm just here for filler.
Okay. So anyway, it was fabulous. But the amazing thing about LA is that everybody's in show business. In Canada, in Toronto, you'd have to apologize for being in show business to a group of people, to your family, for instance, to your to people that knew you. If you said to somebody, "I'm going to write movies," they'd say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Can we recommend a therapist?" But there, everybody is in show business or wants to be. Look, I was driving my car along the freeway, and I was speeding a little bit. I get pulled over by a cop, and the first thing he says is, "You got Ontario plates on." I said, why are you here? I said, "I'm sorry, I'm just here on a short-term contract. I don't know whether I'm staying or not." He said, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm producing the Joan Rivers show." He went, "Oh, that's for Fox." I said, "Yeah, that's right." He said, "So Barry Diller is your boss?" I said, "Well, he runs the company. I don't directly report to him." But he said, "But you know him?" I said, "Yeah, maybe once every couple of weeks I run into him in the green room." He goes, "Okay. Well, look, I got to run your plates. Just stick tight, and I'll get back to you in a minute." He goes back to the cruiser. I wait. Comes back. He says, "Well, you're fine. You have no price. I'm just going to let you go." He says, and then he pulls a manila envelope out and says, "Look, I wrote this script. If you wouldn't mind getting it to Diller." I said, "No problem." So I took the script home and I read it. Wouldn't you?
Sure.
It was a cop drama like Adam 12 or Dragnet, and it wasn't half bad. I put it through the system. I have no idea what happened to it. Another time I'm at a variety store. There's a old Korean lady behind the counter. There's a guy in front of me. He buys a pack of smokes. He walks out. I buy a pack of gum. The woman says to me, "You know who that was? You know who that was?" I said, "No, I don't." She goes, "Tom Selleck's gardener." Everything is show business in L.A.
You met Tom Selleck's gardener?
I know, it's pretty amazing. Well, I didn't really meet him.
No,
but on the other hand, that doesn't stop anybody from saying that they partied with somebody. You ever notice this?
That's right, yes.
Yeah, I partied with Mark Breslin. Yeah, they were at the what do you call it, club, like...
the Transact.
Yeah, they were at the Transact with me and another 1,000 people. I was at the bar getting a soft drink, and the guy accidentally kicked my shoe, and I said, "Stop it, bud."
Oh, he was partying with you,
He was partying with me, man! The one thing that I think separates me from a lot of other people in show business is that I am utterly unfazed by stardom, by stars. I don't care about stars. I don't worship stars. I don't really care at all. I care about people's work, but I don't care about their fame. There's only one person I've ever met in my life that I became speechless in front of.
And that was?
Norman Mailer. When I ran into Norman Mailer, I was tongue-tied. I couldn't say anything.
He's an abrasive little fellow, though, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I never got the chance to know, because I just sat there going, That's not like me.
I know the name.
Norman Mailer?
Yeah. Executioner.
The Executioner song, a novelist, the contemporary Ernest Hemingway, one might say.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, he's old now, but, certainly in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, he was the guy.
He directed a film of one of his books, Tough Guys Don't Dance.
That's right, yeah.
And the short form review I would write is Tough Writers Shouldn't Direct.
And that's fair. But he was the only guy, but I could run into, Angelina Jolie. Yeah, that's nice. Look, it's Brad Pitt. Well, unless I'm having dinner with Brad Pitt on a one-on-one basis, it means nothing to me. Absolutely nothing.
Well, the fact that Jim Carrey's making $20 million a movie now only puts it into perspective that you've made careers you've made those people's careers and given them opportunities to.
I gave them a launching pad, but I would hardly say I did anything to make Jim Carrey $20 million a picture. I mean, that's all from the time that when Jim Carrey went to L.A. And just as a kind of, a cautionary tale against people who think that it's easy even for a Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey went through a horrible slump when he was in L.A., before he got that $20 million a picture. He didn't go from stardom in Canada directly into stardom in the United States. What happened was he left here. He got a show called The Duck Factory, if you remember, which was on NBC, maybe, CBS, can't remember, had some of the best people writing for it, the best directors. It bombed horribly, and he couldn't work in that town for years. And then he got a very small part on a Clint Eastwood movie.
That's right,
and then
Psycho.
That's right, and then he got a slightly bigger part in Earth Girls Are Easy, if you remember that. And that got him, and then Peggy Sue Got Married, and those parts got him onto Living Color. And only after In Living Color was he what I would call a real star. And when Ace Ventura came out, it got panned by every critic. Every critic gave it 1 star or 0 stars, and yet it was the opening... Like it was the biggest box office hit of the week. It opened at number 1. And I remember seeing a preview of it with my friend, and we looked at each other and just shook our hands and went, poor Jim. Poor Jim. And then 3 days later, it was the number 1 movie in the country.
Now, you had said you really weren't so keen on his comedy.
No, but I mean, I know him, and you always want the best for people you know.